Ontario Place opened on May 22nd, 1971. Since then, it has attracted thousands of visitors every year to the 96-acre man-made islands to see world-famous attractions such as the Cinesphere, the Forum, and also the Children's Village. And new attractions are being added every year. Today we'll be joined by two senior managers to tell us more about Ontario Place and its career opportunities. So stay tuned for Careers. Hi, I'm Peter Wolfl, and welcome to Careers. Today we're joined by two guests from Ontario Place. The first one is Lou Seiler, who is the Senior Manager of Programming and is responsible for all the entertainment operations on site. His background is in program development, production, venue management, and promotions. And our second guest is Mara Brown, who is the Senior Manager of Marketing and Public Relations. And her background includes an MBA from York University, followed by working experience in advertising, special events promotion, and public relations. Welcome both of you to Careers.
Thank you.
Lou, starting with you, maybe can you give us a little bit of a background to Ontario Place, how it began, and some of the things that it's gone through over the years?
Sure. I guess Ontario Place really started as a dream in a number of very creative people's minds. The original concept was to develop the Ontario Government Pavilion at the CNE and upgrade it, and what it eventually became was the series of man-made islands and pod complexes that it is today. And we have Eb Seiler, the architect, to thank for that. It's a structure that even in 1971 was incredibly futuristic, and 20 years, almost 20 years later today, is still considered by many people to be a very futuristic design, and I don't think has been equaled in too many other places. Mm-hmm. Over the years...
Did he come up with the whole concept?
He came up with the physical building designs. Mm-hmm. There were a number of other very creative individuals. It was like a sort of a brainstorming session in terms of adding on the various elements. And things were added on. The initial package wasn't as a whole when they started with it. The things just kept being added on. Cinesphere was, I think, sort of an afterthought after the original concept. Oh. They had the IMAX projection system, which is an Ontario-based development, from Expo, or the Osaka Expo in 1970 in Japan. They had that system, so they decided to build a home for it here in Toronto. So it was the very first IMAX theater in existence in the world. The Forum was sort of an afterthought. It was a unique circular environment, an amphitheater stage where every seat is very close to the front and center position. Mm-hmm. Children's Village was another concept of a playground for kids, a very interactive playground for kids, which was an Ontario first. So it really developed as a lot of leading edge technologies and concepts, all based in Ontario, something that we can be very proud of. And actually that's been one of the keys to the success of Ontario Place over the years, is what we like to call black boxes, programmable venues, things that change over the years. It's the same structure, but you can change the content. So it's always new, always refreshing, so that people have a reason to come back.
Now, when you do change these venues, though, are you just adding, or are you sometimes changing, actually deleting and putting something in its place?
We've added several attractions over the years. Our West Island was significantly redeveloped in 1985. We added a wilderness adventure ride, something called the Waterfall Showplace, which is a stage venue that's hidden by a waterfall, and when the water curtain stops, there's a stage that's revealed. So we still are adding unique and leading-edge attractions as we go along.
Originally, when these man-made islands were built, it only cost $29 million for the landfill and the construction. That seems awfully inexpensive compared to today's standards.
Yes, that's a very valuable piece of real estate on Toronto's waterfront by today's standards, and we're looking forward to future development in that area, and hopefully we'll have a key role to play in things like the potential World's Fair in the year 2000 and the Olympics, should Toronto be successful in its bid.
Ontario Place adds some new attractions every year to keep the public interested, much like Canada Wonderland operates. Have you found that your business has gone down in volume since Canada Wonderland came into the picture?
Not really. We've found that, if anything, it's probably maintained, if not increased. Something in the theme park industry called the destination effect, where you have, as in Orlando, you have Disney World, and a number of other attractions and parks have opened up around it to take advantage of the people that it draws to the neighborhood or to the market. And I think we find the same thing with Canada's Wonderland. You get a lot of day trips, people coming from outlying regions to make a special trip to Toronto, and they might stay 2 days, 3 days, and during that stay they will make a point of seeing all the other attractions in the area. So it's been of great benefit to ourselves and the zoo, the ROM, the art gallery, so it's actually been a plus.
It's just like a mall where you have one good store and
That's
then
right.
you can attract people
That's
to
the
other
key.
stores. Okay, now Ontario Place is a crown corporation of the Ontario government, am I right?
That's correct, yep.
Does it make money for the taxpayers?
No, it doesn't, but it is a subsidized facility, and the subsidy is there to provide a level of value in terms of the admission price. So you're getting incredible value in entertainment, in food, in all the things that Ontario Place offers, and that's a conscious decision by the government to provide that for the people of Ontario and its visitors at a very value-conscious level.
Mm-hmm. But right now it's losing money then.
The level of subsidy is approximately 20%, and if you look at other government agencies in the artistic vein, things like the ROM or the Art Gallery or the Science Center, we're in very good shape compared to some of those facilities in terms of our level of self-sufficiency. We're around 80%, which is very high.
Mm-hmm. And improving?
And improving.
Great. Now, what kind of events are the most popular at Ontario Place? And the most profitable, for that matter?
Our number one facility is Cinesphere. It is the largest attraction, or the most important attraction to many of our visitors. Next would probably be either Children's Village or the Forum, depending on whether you're talking to a nighttime concert goer or a family coming during the day. In terms of moneymakers, the off-season is very good for us with our 70mm film festival. That's one of the key attractions we operate that is definitely a revenue-generating attraction.
Mara, can you give us a general description of the organizational structure at Ontario Place?
Okay, well, we all report to a board of directors, and they report to the Ontario government. Underneath the board of directors is a general manager who reports through to the board, and then there are 5 senior managers that report to the general manager, and then there's managers and then the staff, and then there's about 600 seasonal staff.
So most of the people are seasonal. You're just hired in the summer months, right?
Right. About 80 people are full-time, year-round.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of work would those people be doing year-round?
Year-round, well, there's 5 basic departments: marketing, public relations, LUS, which is programming. There's an operational department, maintenance and construction, and finance and administration.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of those departments is responsible for running all the aspects of that particular department. For example, we do all corporate sponsorship work in the off-season. We'll do our group sales initiatives. We'll put together our advertising plans. We'll put together our media strategies as well. So really, during the off-season, Lou will put together his programming strategies. Operations will, again, regroup and look at what they're doing and plan their strategies, and same with finance and administration. We also analyze the research that we do in the summer. So the off-season is really the planning for the season.
Do your two groups interact quite a bit?
Marketing and programming, they interact quite a lot, because under my department is special events and promotions, which very often involves any entertainment. So Lou and I have to work very closely together.
Mm-hmm. Now, as senior manager of marketing and promotions, are you directing your advertising to any particular groups? Do you have a target market in mind?
Yes, we do. Actually, we split our advertising campaign into 2 groups. One is general site, which is our daytime visitor, and the other would be the forum, which is our nighttime visitor. And in the daytime, basically 60% of our daytime visitors are tourists. So we'll do an extensive group sales campaign to the outlying regions to attract the tour and industry leaders to bring their groups into Toronto and into Ontario Place when they're visiting Toronto. And we also target basically the Torontonians, the family market, so adults 18 to 49, usually with children. The children are usually between 1 and 12 years of age. As far as the forum, we go after anyone and everybody, basically depending on the programming, because our programming appeals to all ages. As a general rule, we go after our media buy in terms of 18 to 49.
Mm-hmm. Do you direct any of your advertising outside of the province?
Our group sales effort is outside of the province. Our advertising campaign itself is really basically in Toronto and the extended Toronto market area.
Lou, can you tell us a bit about your own personal history? What did you do to get to where you are today?
My background is primarily on the production side of theater and entertainment. I started or went through the Ryerson Theater Production Program and had hoped to spend the rest of my life behind the scenes backstage, working with risers and sets and things, and eventually through starting at Ontario Place, got into the management side of things and worked my way up into the programming of entertainment.
Okay, and what kind of experience would you say has been the most valuable for you?
Probably all of the hands-on experience that I've had. Working behind the scenes at a facility like the Forum is an invaluable experience, learning about all the different aspects of the entertainment industry. Not only the management side, but the touring side, the roadie side of loading and unloading trucks. It's a really eye-opening experience.
In July of 1987, you produced a gala musical concert for the Duke and Duchess of York. Can you tell us how you got that going?
Yeah, we were very fortunate in that during that summer to be the site of the government or the provincial government's Royal Gala performance for Andrew and Sarah, and I was given the task of assembling the talent and producing the show. And it is really an exciting venture because you get to deal with all the behind-the-scenes people from Buckingham Palace, or Buckhouse as they refer to it, and to the point of actually having to get all the acts approved and sending them tapes, and it was a showcase of Ontario's talent in sort of the rock music vein, and they were very, very concerned that the music be up-tempo and rock-oriented because of Andrew's and Sarah's age, as opposed to the stodgy kind of classical things that you might expect in a Royal Gala. So it was a lot of fun packaging that show.
What kind of shows or programs would you normally produce?
In the Forum, we do a variety of just about every musical style there is. Because of the nature of the Forum in Ontario Place, we try to appeal to all tastes in music and dance. So you name it, and pretty well it's there.
We're going to take a short break right now for a public service announcement. When we return, we'll be back with Mara Brown and Lou Seiler of Ontario Place to see some examples of the work that they do in marketing. So stay tuned. We're back with Lou Seiler and Mara Brown from Ontario Place on Careers. Mara, can you tell us how you developed the media strategy and maybe how it has evolved over the years to become what it is today?
Okay, in the past few years, we've always been on television to advertise Ontario Place. But this year, with the rising cost of media in TV, and also with the cost of production being so high, and also with the issue of having something new at Ontario Place this season, but not being able to shoot it until we're already open, we've decided to pull out of TV and go with our money into billboards. We've also looked at where our market is, which are tourists, and they're really not in their hotel rooms watching TV, and even the Toronto market are going to and from work, or they're going out for the evening, so they're really in the streets. So we took our money and we did a couple of executions of billboards. We used 3 of Ontario's prominent artists to do 3 different sort of visions of Ontario Place. They're very, very unique and I think leading edge. And that's really where we're spending the majority of our budget. We're also increasing our money in print so that we've got a regular presence in the Toronto daily newspapers. And for that we advertise General Site and the Forum. So basically we're trying to beef up our print, get into billboards, and we're also expanding our radio buy.
How did you know that your target market really is not sitting behind a television set and is rather moving about? Did you do some surveys or?
We do about 27,000 on-site surveys every summer. So we've got probably everything and anything you would want to know about our visitor that comes to Ontario Place, what they do, where they're from, what they want, what they like, what they don't like. And in fact, a lot of the decisions that we make for the following year are based on that research. So we really try to be very perceptive to our customers.
Okay. Let's take a look at your past right now. We have some video clips that Mara brought with her, which shows some of the commercials that they have aired in the past. We'll take a look at them right now.
Ontario Place, me in a great boat crawl. Gramps cheers me as I shoot down the slide. Well, Sam, he flies to the wilderness ride. I take my Uncle Joe to the puppet show. Freddie and I eat our French fries slow. With my family, a picnic in the sun. Or with all the gang, just having fun. Ontario Place, happy together.
Are you ready for a little adventure? Would you like to take the family on a little trip? Somewhere they've never been before? Are you ready for the most exciting tour of your life? Then you just might be ready for the Wilderness Adventure Ride at Ontario Place. The Wilderness Adventure Ride at Ontario Place. It's new, it's wild, and it's all yours.
That's really quite exciting. All kinds of different events available. Were you involved actually in producing any of those videos?
Two of them. The one that had the Wilderness Adventure Ride was in 1985. That was before my time. And that was when we put in the ride, and that's why the commercial focused solely on that. But the other two, yes, I was very involved in those two.
Now, would those be handled strictly by an advertising agency?
Yes. Yes, they were.
Okay. What kind of events do you have coming up this year that we can think about in 1989?
Well, actually, 1989, this year we unveil a whole new Ontario Place. We've got all new food, new restaurants, exciting restaurateurs that are having very, very hot, exciting restaurants. We're also going to be increasing our nightlife. They're going to be having live entertainment in their restaurants. Very, very...
Dancing as well for people?
Dancing, really, really exciting, and it's on the water. It'll be lovely. We've also got new center entrances that will ease access. People can get through quicker.
Sorry, is that a separate entrance now? Because there used to be two main entrances.
There's still two main entrances, but one we've really, we've automated it. We've automated both, actually, but one we've really beefed up and made it a lot more expanded so that people can get in quicker. And it's a lot nicer. You get much more of a sense of arrival when you come to Ontario Place now. We've also got a new river walk that's being built, which is a walkway along our riverways. Our restaurants will be focusing more outward onto the water, which is really one of our major strengths, is our environment. Also, we're going to be having Comedy Festival this year in mid-June, and that's going to be for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, June 16th, 17th, and 18th. And basically, the site, the whole Ontario Place, is going to be permeated with comedy. So everywhere you look, you're going to run into a juggler or a mimist. Our headliners at the Forum will be comedians. We've got improv troupes at the Waterfall Showplace. Basically, everywhere you go, in our restaurants, we'll be programming different sort of comedy acts.
So you'll be laughing the whole time you're there?
Laughing the whole time you're there. We've also got Daredevil Week coming up, and we've got High Diver Week, so we've got lots of different events scheduled this year.
Okay. Lou, you supervise a full staff of, I guess, 10 full-time people, and then 74 seasonal employees. And how do you manage all those people?
I guess the secret to it is a team approach. Reacting, listening to their problems, and then, as I say, working as a team.
What do most of your full-time people do?
They're all the behind-the-scenes people at Ontario Place that are involved with the entertainment attractions. So they're operating the films, they're doing the sound mixing in the Forum, for instance, setting the stages, going to the airport, picking up artists, that kind of thing.
You've mentioned to me before that you've taken some negotiating courses. How have you found that? How have you found that that has helped you in your current job today, negotiating some of the big-name acts at the Forum?
I guess it's given me the groundwork in negotiating techniques and I guess stalling tactics that you contend with and maneuvering to try and get the best deal you can with an agent or an act.
How would you typically try to work out a deal for a good act?
Well, we deal almost exclusively with their agents. In a few circumstances we deal with their managers, and in very, very few we deal with the act itself. So it's a lot of phone work. It's just back and forth, making offers and trying to package the shows and get routing or to make the tour make some sense in terms of the distance they have to travel between dates and to try and find that one hole that Ontario Place can fill in their schedules.
Would they ever be calling you because they know they're going to be in Toronto at a specific date while they're doing some kind of a tour?
I wish they would.
No?
The market, the Toronto market area is so competitive that you have to kind of beat the bushes and see what is available throughout North America and even to Europe to some extent to try and fill. We have 110 days to fill, so it's a real challenge to put together that kind of a lineup.
How do you manage to get some of the big name American acts, for instance?
We deal with, I guess, 4 or 5 of the major agencies in both New York and Los Angeles, and it's just a matter of being very persistent
and they know exactly who's going to be where and when and who's available and so on.
For the most part, yeah. When an artist is working in the Northeast, for instance, we'll find out their tour schedules. There are a number of publications that list tour schedules, so we sort of scan those, and when we find some routing that makes sense, we'll call that act or that agent and try and put in an offer in between 2 cities, for instance, Montreal and Detroit or something, and try and get in between.
Do the performers get paid a set fee type of thing, or is it negotiable depending on...
Oh, it's very negotiable. It's a very fluid industry. You get, depending on whether an artist has a record that's currently charting, depending on whether the routing is good. For instance, if it's an isolated date and they have to fly in from Los Angeles, you're going to be paying considerably more than you would for somebody that's just played Peterborough and is going to drive through Toronto. So there's quite a range in what the artists, the sorts of fees they would get.
Now, do you tend to go for a certain number of real big names and then a few lesser names, or how?
Well, we try and go for as many big names as we possibly can, or that our budget allows, and then we mix in.
Even though they do cost you more.
Well, there's room for a mix. So we do an awful lot of Canadian programming, local programming, and which we're very proud of. We're probably 75% Canadian content in terms of what we present in the forum. So.
Are there some guidelines or restrictions as far as Canadian content is concerned?
None that are really written down. We tend to do it on our own. We've determined that that's a good level of Canadian content. We want to be promoting local talent and
Is there a
Canadian
particular
artists.
percentage that you're aiming for? Or?
It's in the 75 to 80% neighborhood.
Fantastic. What happens if an act were to cancel at the last minute?
Unfortunately, that happens probably a couple of times every summer, and it's a scramble to try and locate an artist who is on the road, who doesn't have a lot of equipment, who can fly in and do the show, or find someone local who can fill in at a short notice.
Now, can people move up the ladder at Ontario Place rather easily, or like what's it like?
They most certainly can, and I guess I'm a prime example of that. I started there in 1976 as a crew member on the Forum crew, and I've slowly worked my way up through the ranks to a senior manager's level. Out of 5 senior managers that currently are there, myself and another individual both started as students. Dave Moore, our attractions and operations senior manager, he started around the same time I did as a student. A former student and employee of ours, Bob Hunter, started there. Working in the operations area, went from Ontario Place out to BC Place, and he's now Vice President of Operations at the Sky Dome. So it's an excellent career path to lead to great heights.
So people can work their way up to the top right from being a summer student or a seasonal help type of thing?
They most certainly can.
Mara, what would you say would be the morale of Ontario Place, especially since most of the people are only going to be there for one summer maybe?
Actually, the morale at Ontario Place is great. We have to, because we have such a tight season, we really have to operate like a family. So everybody pitches in and helps. The morale is great. In terms of the summer students, we do everything we can to make their jobs fun. They've got something called a Good Times Club that's run by the seasonal students, and they have party about once a month. They organize things like bumper boat races, pedal boat races, races down the water slide. So they have a very good time as well, and it helps to solidify that team sort of spirit.
What are some of the more exciting types of jobs that these people could have?
Probably the most exciting would be working in what we call our guest services department. And in order to work in that department, you'd have to work at Ontario Place for 1 or 2 seasons to qualify. And those people are the ones that get to show our VIPs around on site tours, or they get to work at stage door and meet whoever would happen to be coming into that particular performance. Another really fun job would be to be our animals. We have a selection of animal characters, big fuzzy animals, and they get to work behind them and hug the kids and really have fun with it.
Sounds good. Mara and Lou, thank you for joining us today on Careers.
Thank you.
I'm Peter Wolfl, and from all of us here at the studio, good luck in your own career.